Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Laura, I'm a hairstylist, and today we're going to talk all about hair brushes. In this video, I'm going to go over all of the different hairbrush types, what the best hairbrush is for your hair type, as well as what brush you should be using to brush your hair when it's dry versus wet, because they're not the same brush. Okay, so first I want to talk about whether a high quality brush is really that much better than a lower quality brush. The difference is mostly in the bristles of the brush and what the bristles are made of. In higher quality brushes, the bristles are normally made out of boar, nylon, or sometimes an ionic blend. Ionic blends normally contain some nylon and sometimes ceramic as well, and lower quality brushes are made out of plastic and metal. The reason why these brushes are worse for your hair than a boar, a nylon, or an ionic blend, it's because these brushes are more likely to cause damage and breakage to your hair. Plastic or metal round brushes don't have flexibility in the bristles, so they get stuck in the hair and the hair is literally caught. And I've actually seen people have to make cuts in their hair in order to get these brushes out. Boar round brushes, as well as nylon, you can take it and twist and tangle and it will pull right out. Metal brushes, when used with a blow dryer, also heat up extremely hot and can burn your hair. This is the difference in a low quality brush and a high quality brush. I know that some high quality brushes can be rather expensive, but the thing is they will last you a very long time. I have several Boar brushes that I have had for the last 15 years, so these brushes have more than paid off. Okay, now I want to talk about the differences between Boar bristles and nylon bristles. So because Boar bristle brushes are made from natural bristles, they actually can increase shine in your hair. They take the oils from your scalp and they pull them down and distribute the oils to the ends of your hair that need it. Not only does this help you extend your days between washes because you're distributing the oil throughout your hair, but it makes your hair healthier because the ends of your hair need those natural oils. These bristles are extremely gentle and it's very difficult, next to impossible, to get it stuck in your hair. Boar bristles are the best brushes for fine hair or damaged hair that is very fragile. These are also the types of brushes that you should be using to brush your hair out when it's dry. When your hair is dry, it does not need as much strength in the bristles to brush it out. Using a stronger bristle on dry hair is going to increase your chances of breakage. So nylon bristles are a little bit stronger than boar bristle brushes, and because of this, these are going to be the best brushes for thicker hair types. If you have a ton of hair, you are going to need nylon in order to get all the way through to actually detangle the hair. You'll also want to use a nylon brush to brush out wet hair rather than boar. Because boar bristles are so fragile, it's not going to detangle wet hair nearly as well as a nylon brush will. So nylon brushes are best for thick and stronger hair types as well as brushing wet hair. Okay, now I want to move on to a combination brush. So if you can see in this teasing brush here, there are combination bristles here. So there are boar as well as nylon bristles in this brush. So a combination brush is going to give you the best of both worlds. Nylon bristles don't have the same benefits when it comes to pulling the oils down like a boar bristle brush will. A combination brush will give you the best of both worlds. So if you have a thicker hair type, but you still want to reap the benefits of the added shine from a boar brush, then you'll want to go with a combination brush. These brushes are great for medium hair types that aren't super thick, but they aren't super fragile either. The boar bristles will add volume and shine, and the nylon bristles will penetrate through the hair a little bit better. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about different types of hair brushes, not necessarily the bristles. So detangling brushes are typically referring to brushes you'll use to detangle wet hair. These can be in the form of a paddle brush or an oval brush like this one. Now, these brushes you don't typically want to use with a blow dryer. These are strictly for detangling the hair. And you can get a boar detangler to use on dry hair as well. And so if you have thin or thick hair, there are different types of nylon detangler brushes for wet hair. Olivia Garden makes different brushes for detangling thin and fine hair and thick and coarse hair. The thin and fine hair has much gentler nylon bristles, while the brush for thick and coarse hair has a little bit stronger of nylon bristles. So this is what you'll use to detangle your wet hair, whether you have fine, thin hair or thick and coarse hair. Now, the reason you don't want to use these brushes with blow drying the hair is because they don't have any vents in them and the bristles aren't really made to withstand heat, so they can melt a little bit. When blow drying your hair, you'll want to use either a paddle vent brush or a round ceramic brush like this one that has holes in it so the airflow can go through. This avoids the brush from heating up too hot, and the bristles are made to withstand the heat. Okay, now moving on to round brushes. Round brushes may have boar or nylon bristles. Typically, I try to use boar as often as I can just because it is so gentle on the hair. So round brushes are perfect for blow drying the hair out and achieving volume. Typically, the smaller the size in the brush, the tighter the curl you're gonna get. The larger the size of the brush, the more volume you'll achieve. The hair will also be a little bit straighter than if you use a smaller, tighter brush. Typically, I base the size of my brush off of how long the hair is. If the hair is short, I go with a smaller brush. If it's long, I go with a larger one. And they are typically only used for blow drying. That being said, my main boar brushes that I have are round brushes, and these work just as well for brushing out your hair as well. So if you're on a budget and you want to get a boar brush, I actually recommend getting a round brush because you can use this for blow drying and round brushing your hair out, as well as brushing and removing the tangles. It works just the same, it's just shaped a little bit differently. This will save you from having to purchase 2 boar brushes, which they can get expensive. Okay, now I want to talk about teasing brushes. So teasing brushes are a lot smaller and they can be made out of boar, nylon, or a combination like I showed you earlier. These brushes typically have a rat tail that you can use to pick up the hair before you tease it. These are great brushes for styling purposes. This boar teasing brush is always my go-to for creating any updos or styles. I use this as a smoothing brush and a teasing brush. Now there are other types of brushes like actual paddle brushes or smoothing brushes, but I find that you don't need to have one of each of these types of brushes. As I mentioned, you can use your brushes for multiple purposes. You don't have to have a detangler, a paddle brush, a round brush, a smoothing brush, a teasing brush. You can get 2 to 3 brushes and call it good. I recommend getting a wet detangler and a boar brush to start. Then after that, if you find that you really want to get a different kind of brush to serve a different purpose, then you can. But at the end of the day, it's much better to have less higher quality brushes than more lower quality brushes. In the description, I've linked all of my favorite brushes that I love to use down below. All right guys, remember to stay tuned because coming up, I'm going to show you how to properly use these brushes when brushing your hair. If you have any other questions for me on hairbrush types, leave it for me in the comments section. And make sure you subscribe if you want to make every day a good hair day. Thanks for watching.